Hi everybody, Steven here, and welcome into TK Power Sports. The Pure Sport side-by-side segment just lost one of its entrants, the Yamaha YXZ. For 2026, Yamaha has announced its entire off-road lineup, and the YXZ is nowhere to be seen, which is pretty sad. So in this video, we'll go over what changed for 2026. I'll show you all the new models, and then we'll just talk a little bit about the YXZ, what made it so good, what made it so different, and why I think it probably went away. All of that is coming up right now. First off, if you are here for the 2026 Yamaha lineup news, go down in the description. I'll throw a timestamp down there and you can skip ahead if that's all you care about. Because right now, I want to talk about the YXZ, talk a little bit about its history, where it started, what it became, and then what made it so different, because it truly was always different than everything else in the Pure Sport side-by-side segment. So the YXZ launched back in 2015 as a 2016 model year vehicle. And right off the bat, Yamaha said, we're not chasing the crazy high horsepower numbers that some of the other brands have. What we're going after is a more direct, connected driver experience. And the main way that they offered that was through a 5-speed sequential shift gearbox. So no CVT here, no belt-driven transmission. They had an actual gear-on-gear transmission. And at the very beginning of the YXZ, you had to shift using a clutch. There was a third pedal, which made this thing totally unique in the sport side-by-side segment. Now, fast forward a couple years to 2017, and Yamaha realized, you know what, we should probably offer a model that you don't have to shift, that has automatic shifting. So they did that, and that then broadened the YXZ's appeal to a larger audience. Fast forward 2 more years to 2019, the YXZ was upgraded again, and this time Yamaha just took feedback from the field. They moved the radiator from the front to the rear so it wouldn't get clogged up with mud and sticks and debris, and they also offered an ultra-low first gear because a lot of people who were doing sort of rock climbing and again running in mud and forest, they didn't like how high first gear was and they were burning through clutches. So Yamaha was really listening to their customer base and then reacting to what they needed. The final changes for the YXZ actually arrived just last year. For 2024 model year, Yamaha added a 6-speed sequential shift transmission. And that actually suggests to me that they didn't think the YXZ was going to go away this year. If they just made those changes, they probably thought, well, we'll ride that out for a couple of years. But clearly, the brand went to the drawing board and said, we're not making any money here. This thing isn't selling. Let's get rid of it. So again, very sad to see the YXZ go because it was always different. I'll just speak from my experience now. The YXZ never had the most power. It never came from the factory with a turbocharger, although there was an accessory turbocharger you could get. And I personally never got to ride in one of those turbocharged models, so I've never experienced that. Suspension travel was always really good, but again, never as much as the competition. But it didn't matter because the YXZ, in my opinion, was the most sort of raw, connected driving experience you could get in a side-by-side. It was also the screaming high RPM of that triple. The engine just sounds incredible. Add in the gearbox. And then this is a funny thing with suspension travel. If you go to the max and offer crazy amounts of travel, that actually kind of smooths out the trail in front of you. And don't get me wrong, that is what you want if you want to take that trail at the highest speed possible. But it also takes a little bit of the thrilling engagement out of it. And so with the YXZ, it was that perfect balance of plenty of suspension travel to go really fast down some tight and rough trails, but still not a crazy amount, so you still really felt everything underneath you. The power steering was always really set up to give you tons of feedback in your hands. So yeah, you know, I've been in a lot of Pure Sport side-by-sides, and there are definitely other side-by-sides, you know, Razors and Mavericks, that could probably take the same trail at a higher top speed, but I do think none of them ever offered such a raw, unadulterated, unfiltered driving experience as the Yamaha YXZ. So for that reason, I already said I'm very sad to see it go. It was very unique in the marketplace. And what can we say? All we can do now is tell Yamaha that, hey, we hope that in the future you bring something like this back to the market, because the YXZ was truly unique. Now let's dive into the 2026 Yamaha side-by-side lineup, and we're actually going to start with a Canadian-only model. It's not often that we get something just for Canada, but yes, Yamaha Canada is offering something that the US is not. Now, I already reached out to Yamaha to say, hey, will this ever come to the US? Is there any plans? And as of publication, I haven't received an answer, but if I do get one, I'll drop it down there in the comments. I also asked for a comment on why the YXZ went away, and if I get that from Yamaha too, I'll drop that down there in the comments as well, so make sure you go check that out. But this is the new model I'm talking about, is the Wolverine X2 Utility. As the name suggests, this takes the Wolverine X2 platform and it just ratchets up the utility a little bit. So this model uses the tilting steel cargo bed from the Viking, which is wider, longer, and deeper than the standard bed. And here it's designed to carry a full-size pallet, and it has a 600-pound bed capacity, so you're getting a larger, stronger bed. The X2 utility also gets a boosted towing capacity at 2,000 pounds, and then Yamaha added its speed management system, which is going to allow the owner to limit the vehicle's overall top speed to make it better for those work-related tasks, and especially on a job site, they can limit it so they know these things won't be speeding around. Now, there's another model which is also being eliminated from the Yamaha lineup, and that is the Viking VI, which is the 6-seat version of Yamaha's utility side-by-side. So the Viking will stick around, but you will no longer be able to get the 6-seater. And that's really it for big news. Everything else is essentially just new colors and graphics, and there really are some eye-catching colors this year. On the Wolverine RMAX 2, you can now get it in tactical green over acid green, which is quite an eye-catching combination. You can also get things like backcountry blue over silver metallic, moss gray over tactical black, and yeah, a whole bunch of new color combos. But outside of that, everything remains the same, which means you can still get the Yamaha Wolverine RMAX 2 1000, and then you have the RMAX 4 1000. The Yamaha X2 and X4 are still available, along with the X2 1000. And then as for that Viking, there are two different Viking models available. You have the base Viking and then the Viking Ranch Edition. There's one last big story for 2026, and that is pricing. Now, the power sports industry as a whole has not been doing so well this year, and I think that can be reflected in the fact that prices have actually been cut pretty much across the board at every brand. But right now, let's focus on Yamaha. So, for example, here is the 2025 Wolverine RMAX 4 1000 Limited, so a top-of-the-line RMAX 4 1000. It starts at $29,199 in 2025, and then we click over to 2026, and now you're talking about $27,199. So that's a nice little price decrease there, and these days it doesn't feel like we talk about price decreases that often, so that is nice to see. Let's grab another model and do an example here. So we get Wolverine RMAX 2 1000 R spec, $21,799 in 2025. $19,999 in 2026. So once again, a price decrease. So nice to see, and this is right across the Yamaha USA lineup. Every single model that I clicked on went down in price for 2026. So again, looking at the Viking here, $16,499 in 2025 and $14,999 in 2026. So a really nice little price decrease there. Thank you, Yamaha, for bringing down prices for once. I'm sure they didn't do it out of the kindness of their hearts, but because they basically feel like they had to do it. Sadly, I have to be the bearer of bad news for Canadians, because our prices in 2026 have gone up across the entire Yamaha lineup by a few $100s. You can see that whole Canadian lineup and all the prices right here. And with that, folks, we have arrived at the end of this video. And you know what? For 2026 at Yamaha, it's a year of subtraction, not addition. They got rid of those 2 models, and then that 850 utility is nice, but essentially it's a parts bin model. They took some stuff they already had lying around and they came up with a new package. Although it is nice to see something unique for Canadians for a change, because that doesn't happen all that often. But yes, let's collectively pour one out for the YXZ. I already said it, I'll say it again. That thing was so unique in the pure side-by-side segment. It was one of the most fun pure sport side-by-sides you could buy, and it just didn't feel like anything else out there on the market. So for all of those reasons, I am very sad to see it go away. Although I will tell you, the RMAX 2 and RMAX 4 1000, those things are incredibly fun, and it is nice to have some utility. The YXZ had 0 utility, it could barely haul anything, didn't have a hitch on it, so it was very much singularly focused, and I think these days we're looking for machines that are a little more well-rounded. So while I won't say that the RMAX 2 or 4 1000 are nearly as much fun as the YXZ, they're probably more practical purchases than the YXZ ever was, and they are still plenty of fun, don't get me wrong. So yeah, that's it for this video. Now I want to hear from you guys. Are you a YXZ owner? What do you think? How does this make you feel? Please let me know down there in the comments below. Yamaha also mentioned that there are still 2025 YXZs out there at dealerships, so if you've been waiting to buy one, you weren't really sure, now is your time. Rush out to the dealer, make sure you get your hands on one, because there won't be that many left. So like I said, drop down there below, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this news. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to TK Power Sports and see what we are testing next. See ya.